My name is Patricia Shone and I'm a ceramicist, potter, living on the Isle of Skye in Scotland. I make ceramic vessels rather than sculptures, in which after years of living where I do, I've noticed that a lot of landscape references come into it, and so I try to enhance those within my work without being specifically representational about the land around me. The pieces are made with combinations of making. I use throwing, hand building, coil work, slab work, and try to bring them all together in a single piece, depending on what the particular piece requires. And then I fire them in different ways. I do a lot of Raku firing at low earthenware temperatures, and also wood firing at high stoneware temperatures. I think living on the Isle of Skye and has its own unique effect on my work and how I interact with the world through what I make and through the clay. I love the way that by pushing the clay, by manipulating it, I can see echoes of what's actually happened geologically in the land, and the way the landscape erodes, and I suppose ultimately going back millennia, how it was actually formed, and the clay is actually part of the landscape but in its eroded form. So then to be able to make something with it which has references to or echoes what it actually came from is something that I find very exciting, and the actual watching the processes happen as I'm making and manipulating the pieces is really interesting. I'm very interested in the human element of how people have lived in a landscape before me, the paths, the roads they make, the tracks they make, what things that they leave behind, relics that they leave behind in a landscape, which can just be things that are thrown away, and you find them and it reminds you of who's been there before. I think that's what keeps me as a potter rather than a sculptor, because it's that human element of vessels that would in the past required such an important part of human existence. What I make they're important, they're necessary for me to make, but obviously they're decorative pieces, so they're not necessarily essential to a person's life. But I think the connection between the lives we live now and the people who've gone before us, whether we knew them or not, is quite important to maintain, and it's a cultural connection between the past and the future, which I like working with.